Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of Care Sandwich. I've got Tommy Badeaux joining me here in a second. He's in Louisiana and he is going to talk to us about his journey in the personal injury space. Before I bring him on, check out my video and remember what Care Sandwich is all about.
Welcome to Care Sandwich, the podcast where we dive into the success journeys of law firm owners across the country. I'm Margarita Everline, your host and the founder of Marketing Boss, a fractional chief marketing officer firm for law firms. On this show, we'll explore the challenges, strategies, and victories that have shaped law firms and how they wrap every interaction with care. Because we believe that caring isn't just a value, it's a strategy for success. So grab your favorite sandwich, sit back, and let's dig into a conversation filled with insight, inspiration, and of course, a lot of care.
Hello. Welcome back. Tommy, join me on the virtual stage. Tommy, how you doing?
Good, Margarita. How are you?
How's the weather where you are? Tell us about Louisiana. What's going on over there?
It is hot as hell in Louisiana right now, and so like our heat index has been almost 110. The UV and what the feels like is, and coincidentally, my air condition was on the fritz a couple days ago, so hotter than usual. But we got that.
Oh my gosh, you're so good under pressure. You're like calm and collected. No wonder you're a personal injury attorney. Tell us your story. How did you get into that space?
So personal injury, particularly, I went through law school thinking I wanted to do nothing but criminal law. Growing up, that was just my thing, I guess, from watching TV specials, and thought I wanted to be a criminal lawyer. Did some job shadowing my last year of law school, and once I got out, was trying to pass the bar and got put in touch with a criminal attorney, followed him around for a couple months. And he would just he always had like a whiteboard on his office, and he would always kind of point to that, had a few names written down. And one day, finally asked him, I said, "What's up with the whiteboard?" And he goes, "Man, that's my personal injury clients. That's where the real money is." And I was like, just kind of laughed it off. And he kind of put something in my head. And then in 2013, so it was actually 13 years ago, a couple of weeks ago, I got in a really bad car wreck myself. I was leaving work. I was bartending there in Essence Fest in New Orleans. We were on the interstate. A car rear-ended us going 100 miles an hour and flipped over multiple times. I got ejected, broke my neck, split my head open. Pretty gruesome stuff. And from that experience, coupled with the fact that my mother-in-law, she's been a paralegal for over 25 years. She's retired now, but she at the time was working for a PI lawyer. So due to my own experience and her kind of nudging me into that direction, kind of putting two and two together and realize, you know what, maybe PI is the way to go. And so now with my collective personal experience and the know-how and having kind of like a seasoned vet teach me the how and the why, just put those together, and it just felt like a natural fit from there.
What an amazing story. Like, I'm still like, that was a lot. Like, you're bartending and like, cause I have a circus brain. Okay. So I'm like picturing you like, like it's dark, it's late and loud and you're just minding your business, trying to go home and relax. I'm sure you were exhausted, and then just, wow. And you just took that as a sign.
Yeah. I mean, it's a sign. And so my joke is, and I still got a few more years, is I've been a bartender longer than I've been a lawyer. So people, it's kind of how I relate to people. It's how I still get a lot of my clients and referrals or people that used to be my regulars. So that particular day, just coming back home in Essence Fest. I mean, obviously it's known nationwide. It's a huge festival down here in New Orleans, and we work long hours. So we were coming back in the morning to maybe sleep 2, 3, 4 hours to get back there for the day shift the next day. And I got ejected from the vehicle. I mean, in all reality, I probably shouldn't be here. And so after I recovered from that, thankfully, didn't
like my imagination. That's what I was thinking. Like, did he have an angel? Like,
I would think so. And then that's my thought process, at least. So, but through that process, and and I kind of tell that story now, and it's why I do it. Is it's just the insurance companies, even So I always joke. I had a $250,000 injury with minimal policies, and so it kind of taught me from the get go how to what we call here in Louisiana, stacking policies from liability to UM and how that but just dealing with adjusters. And I didn't hire a lawyer for mine because obviously I had my mother-in-law telling me, you don't need one. Like this should be relatively easy for what your injuries are and how to navigate this. But just still, I had to navigate, and I was getting lowballed and run through the ringer for my injury. So, I mean, I'm sitting there as a law student with a little better understanding than most, but obviously I had no idea about PI and how and why, but my mother-in-law was kind of helping me along, and I still had adjusters kind of giving me the runaround. And at this point, you know, looking back 13 years ago, I'm like, how dumb was that? You have a younger male, you know, broken neck, trying to do something and just wanting to collect his policy, and they're wanting addresses and this information, that. It was just, it kind of, I guess, steered me. The insurance companies rubbed me the wrong way from the beginning. And so obviously still I hate on them because they're the reason I'm here. They're the reason I have a job, but it's still a problem today. And that's kind of what I do in my everyday life. So
good for you. Like I'm still processing everything that you're saying. And one thing that's like so loud in my mind is is it necessary to have gone through that kind of trauma to be that good at your job as a defender of people that have been injured? I think we want to say, no, it's not necessary, but like, what a blessing to call somebody like you when you're going through something like that. Like, I think there's so many blind spots, emotional blind spots, I'm going to call them, empathetic blind spots, that attorneys have who haven't gone through what you've gone through themselves, right? Or maybe even lost a loved one due to an injury, that they just won't really understand. Like, one of the biggest complaints that I hear about attorneys is they have no soul. All they care about is the money. They never call you back, and you can't trust them. And I can't imagine that, having been through what you've been through, they can put you in any of those boxes.
100% right. And I mean, that's just kind of what I build my whole marketing shtick, if you will. And that's kind of my call to action, and how I tell people is because, now look, granted, I hope nobody goes through what I had to. I hope nobody gets in a car wreck. But at the same time, when they do, or if they do, what better person than me to help them out? Because I've been there. And I kind of, that's kind of one of the things that I play into is, look, I'm trying to put personal back into personal injury, because those guys you see on TV, those guys in the suits, those guys who post all over the billboards of all the money they get people, number one, half of those dudes probably aren't even practicing lawyers anymore. They have elevated through that. They are businessmen now. And I can promise you 99% of those guys have not even gotten in a car wreck, much less been catastrophically injured like I have. So I would hope that people don't have to go through what I do, but I think it definitely gives me a totally different perspective to what my clients are going through, what they're going to be going through in the future. And, you know, I could kind of show you, like, hey, times might look dark and tough now, but there's light at the end of the tunnel, you know. But I could also relate to them and say, look, this is not going to be easy. If you get a surgery, and that's kind of the other nature of those billboard guys, is people see these monies and this dollar signs, but they don't understand what it takes to say Morgan & Morgan or Morris Borg got me $100 million. Like, you don't want that money. To be able to get that money, you have to be really screwed up. And so it's kind of a catch-22 is, and that's always what I say is, I hope people don't need me. I definitely don't hope people go through what I do, but I mean, I'm here for a reason. And I think my reason is to help out people, you know, Badeaux insurance companies recover and get the money they need. So
that's beautiful. I think that we need more attorneys like you out there that are doing things not just for the money, right? Because you did mention that as part of your story, where it's like you did acknowledge that, hey, there's a future there. Maybe that got your interest. But I think it's very telling about you that what really did it for you was you understanding the impact that you can make, and you understanding how it feels to be in a situation like that. I think that that's really telling, you know, like, I think we definitely need more empathy in this space. So going along those lines, I'm curious, what are some of the bartender skills that you use when you're interacting with clients day to day? Because that's fascinating too. Like, there's just so many places I can go with this interview, and I know we don't have a lot of time. So yeah, walk me through that.
So, well, to me, empathy is obviously bartending. You see all kinds of walks of people. You could have the happy group that comes in. For instance, if you and your friends are going out selling a birthday, you have the girl crowd who wants to come in and, oh my God, it's my friend's whatever birthday, but we're going to pretend she's 21 and we're going to dress, it's the happiest time of their life. They're going to be loud, and so you're catering to them and everybody's happy. You could also have the downside of bartending
Yeah.
where it's the drunk guy who's been there for 8 hours and hates everybody and everything. So I think it just kind
Right.
of gives you an experience and the ability to cater and understand, or at least try to understand and relate to all types of people. But on the other
Yeah.
side, it also it could train you for dealing with these difficult and naggy clients because obviously, as and I still do it to this day. If I'm going out at a bar and I just see somebody just disrespecting the bar staff or maybe not tipping, just somebody, you could tell people who have not worked in the service industry and how they
Mm.
talk to people, how they react. And so I think, towards the end of my bartending career, maybe I started not caring and snapping back. And it kind of, it's almost the same and how to relate to people and how you could deal with difficult customers, difficult clients. They're kind of hand in hand, and maybe talk them down off the ledge or say, hey, maybe you don't need this drink right now. Just like, hey, maybe you don't need to skip this treatment, and just kind of relate it into different aspects. Cause I've worked at even going through college, started out as a DJ, then kind of transitioned down to bartending. Cause it was either, hey, do I go to law school or do I just drop everything else and learn how to DJ and hope to move to Vegas? So that was obviously a better career path for me sitting here doing what I do. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just think it's and people tell me this all the time. What would you change anything about law school? It was either go and give up bartending and try to clerk for free and get experience. And there's maybe parts of me that regrets that a little, but I wouldn't give up my people skills, my personal connections, and just my referral base that still is. I've had clients who walk in like, wait, you're the guy who used to work at so and so. Wait, didn't you used to have a red mohawk? And it's like, yeah, it's me. That was 13 years ago. Times change, but I'm still the same person that was serving you shots. It's just now I'm serving you knowledge and the process and walking you through how to deal with your car wreck. So
I love that. And I'll throw you some flowers. I really do think that in the legal space, and this is just me and my humble opinion as a CMO, okay? I look at data on cost per case and I look at what's happening in the legal space marketing wise. And I'm all about, okay, marketing's fun, right? But how does that drive revenue? And one of the biggest opportunities that I'm seeing right now in the legal space that's low hanging fruit that not enough people are leveraging, and I think you are intuitively because of how you are, and hopefully you're incorporating this into your systems, is customer service. Because what happens when it costs 10 different law firms in one area an average of $3,000 per case sign up, but one of them figures out that, hey, if I just slow down a little bit on the phone and instead of interrupting the wounded person, the wounded soul that's, calling me right now with, let me get your first name and last name, and completely ignores what's happening with them, like total robot mode. What happens when I flip that around and I just slow down and connect with the person, which it sounds like you do this intuitively, right? Like, I'm here to help. Let me just get some information. Oh my God. Like, you can really dominate just by making those types of changes in your sales process, or intake process, whatever you call it, where everybody else is fighting for the top of the funnel, for the eyeball, for the lead, for,
yeah.
the firms that are figuring out that, hey, I can reduce my cost per case just by being more human with the way that I manage my cases, just by being more human with the way my team answers the phone. Like, I think that's the future. Like, I think you're in really good shape. So kudos to you for being who you are, and walk us through. I made the assumption, and I bet you are doing, like, how do you replicate you with your team? What are some things that you can do? Because I bet some of the folks that are listening are like, okay, I like that. How do I scale that?
So for me, and my thing is I like to keep my team small. So, it started off with just me and obviously got to a point that was not sustainable. And so now what I do is I have I have a paralegal who I brought with me. I worked at a different law office for a couple years. He was one of the Billboard TV guys, and it was it taught me a lot of things. Okay, so maybe some things that I wanted to do, and maybe some things that I didn't want to do. And you know, it was an experience for a reason. I'm not here to say anything good or bad about it. But the greatest thing there was one of the paralegals who I had there just became like a second mom to me. She was older. She is my mother-in-law's age. Once again, kind of same career. She used to
Yeah.
be an adjuster. Became paralegal, office manager, and now she's my office manager. So managed to steal her. She had left to go work for a bigger firm. Pried her away a couple years ago when I went back out on my own, and then now I have her running everything, and then essentially my mother-in-law who just retired, got her on. She was now working part-time for me. So I have two just between them, and I always make the jokes about the attorneys online and on the TV saying, "Oh, we have over 175 years of combined experience." Well, my paralegals are you know, these two ladies are the lifeblood of my practice because
Yeah.
between them, they have been practicing law longer than I've been alive. They've been paralegals, they've been
Yeah.
running firms. So, and it's always the joke is, especially in PI, like me as a young lawyer, I would go cozy up to the paralegals like, "Hey, what do I do here?" They know everything. They run it.
Right.
So for me, I like small, you know, not looking to scale and become this huge company. I like to keep it small and keep the quality. And so for me, those two ladies, and then I also just have an assistant who helps out as needed. And I'm kind of getting to the point where, hey, do I hire an associate? Because I obviously have a unique career path. I have a unique take on how I do things. I like to be different and not, it's not like, oh, look at me, I'm different way. I just, I got to be where I am because I bet on myself. So if I'm going to hire somebody, I want somebody with kind of a unique thought process in that I don't want somebody, and it seems to be run of the mill these days, is everybody's looking for salary, everybody's looking for benefits, and they just want to be paid to be compensated for whatever reason. They're unhappy at their defense job, or they just got out of law school and they got loans. I get it. I still have loans. It's part of it, comes with the territory. But for me, if I'm going to hire somebody, it needs to be somebody unique that wants to both prove and bring in their own case law, you know, bring in their own cases and client load, but also, you know, get some kind of benefits and some kind of salary. So almost like a hybrid deal. And I haven't gone to that step yet where I've found somebody that is sort of like a mini me, because at the same time, it's kind of catch 22 is, do I want to hire somebody who's exactly like me, who shares that ambition, and I teach them the tools of the trade, and then 5 years down the road, they're taking Better Call Badeaux and going make their own. So it's just, I'm in a unique transition phase where it's, hey, am I going to keep it small, which I love. I love the small office atmosphere. You know, I know there's a lot of talk about scaling and hiring all these people and creating a network. But to me, it's almost like when you do that and everybody has ambitions. Everybody wants to be successful in their own way. But to me, the guys that start out with a small office and then want to hire 5, 6, 7, 8 attorneys, aren't you turning into the machine that we are turning, you know, that we're going against? You know, nobody's ever going to be Morgan and Morgan. Nobody's ever going to be the next Morris Bart, because it seems like the law industry is shying away from those things. So to me,
Yeah.
as soon as I take those steps and try to bring, because that was one of the things about my old firm that maybe I didn't agree with, is why do we have this overhead? We could run this thing more efficient, more, you know, less expensive. Do we need every single subscription? And especially now with AI, like, do you need all these programs? So it's just, I think the practice of law is evolving, and there's already starting to be, you know, private equity trying to come into Louisiana. So I've already been approached by 2 or 3 people like, "Hey, you want to sell your firm?" Like, my firm's not even started. Like, I just started this thing, guys. Like, let me get under before. I mean, look, I would love to retire one day. So to me, I guess I still, I'm loving. I don't think you could get the level of customer service that you were talking about with expanding my team anymore at this given time. I think it needs, because that's my whole thing is, I can't sit here on one hand and say, hey, don't call the billboard guy. You're never going to talk to him. He doesn't know who you are unless your case is X amount of $1 million. I could still say, hey, if you hire me, if you hire and I still hesitate to call myself a firm. It's a law office. It's me. I have multiple locations where I need to be in South Louisiana. But when you hire me as your lawyer, I'm your lawyer. You're not getting passed off to anybody else. Now, will I ever get to a point that I have to change that tune? Maybe. And I guess it's a good problem to have, but I don't want to give up the customer service and the personal aspect for any means, just to chase a check, so to speak.
Yeah, and what I'm hearing from you is, and I slightly disagree. I do think that you can do it at scale because I've seen it. It's just really hard. Okay. But what I'm hearing from you is you know what game you're playing. You're playing the quality game, not the scale and irresponsible growth game. That's a different game. That's a revenue factory, right? You're clear on your goal, your agenda, and I think it's beautiful. So the other thing that I'm hearing is the way you're scaling is you're thinking about what does your customer need from you first, not what are your financial goals necessarily. And you're also finding people that are committed to the vision and driven by more than just money. And I think that's wonderful. That's wonderful advice for any business. I can relate to your feeling of like, okay, I'm at a crossroads. Like it's scale faster, compromise quality, or compromise quality, or stick to my quality priority and pace myself. And honestly, for me, and you and I are a lot alike, I love sleeping well at night, knowing that, hey, no one's perfect. I don't pretend to be perfect, but I know my clients' names. I know what's in their heart. I know what they want. I know why they're building their business. I think about them all the time, all day, every day. Like I'm like in their business, and I feel like I'm rolling up my sleeves as needed, and we're doing things together. And I like that. I don't ever have to worry that a client's going to feel like they're just a number for me. Granted, my business is not a law firm, it's a consulting firm, but like I can really relate because our business model could be very scalable if we just changed a couple of priorities, but I'm not willing to do that either. So kudos to you.
Yeah, I mean I'm glad you brought that up because that is kind of the nature of our business. And you go to these other firms and you are a file number. I don't care what anybody says. That low level, and it's not a joke. It's the sad reality is if you're calling one of these big firms, you're getting put to a low rung associate who might just be fresh out of law school and just passed the bar. So you think you're hiring Commander Billboard and you're getting somebody you've never met. And that's the nature of it. So to me, it's you have to put the personal into it. I like knowing all my clients' names. I like them knowing that it's going to be me handling it. And I think that's something that's missing, sadly, because to me, one of the best, there's two great feelings. Well, of course, it's not great when people call me because I know they're not calling me with good news. It's, oh my God, look what just happened. I mean, it happened yesterday. I had two of them, never been in a wreck before or anything like that. And I'm just like, all right, let me talk you through it. And I like that. So the two best feelings for me is one, I still love getting a new client. That's like the greatest feeling in the world to me still to this day. And I've been doing it, almost probably 11 years now. So when I get a new client, it doesn't matter. I'm still not gauging, oh, well, it's only a minimum policy. To me, it doesn't matter. It's a new person that I could help. And then it's getting that person money. The parts in the middle, they got ebbs and flows. We have great clients, we have bad clients, but that's just the nature of our business. But to me, once you get to a point that you're not getting excited about getting clients, you're just looking at that sheet every month to make sure that you're not in the red or whatever, because your ad spin is, I need to make this much because I got to be on TV and compete with so-and-so. And I mean, obviously I know you're not from here, but our market is one of the top 3 in the entire country in terms of power players and what they're spending. So for you to try to break into our market, you could get in over your head. And unfortunately, that's what happens to a lot of people. They're like me, they start out and they get too ambitious, try to compete with these guys who you're never going to compete with because they go to their billion-dollar parties and laugh at each other and try to outspend each other with their millions of dollars, and they get themselves in trouble. And I'm not going to let myself fall into that trap because I've seen people try to do it, and it's just not a pretty sight.
Yeah, no, I respect it. The people that play that game, it's just a different game. They're there to grow a business and they create jobs, and there's positives, but I hear you. Like it's not for all of us. But I do have some clients that, and have come across law firms that's the strategy. They do a pay to play. They know they're going to be in the red for 5 years, and it's all about the cash and the spend, and they're not worried about cost per case because their goal is just scale fast and dominate. So it's cool.
And look, I mean, scale seems to be the word of the last 2 years. Every day I get an email and, hey, we're worried about your growth or scale. And so, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to continue that trend into next year, but seems to be the new thing is everybody wants to scale this, scale that. And it's just, how are you going to do it? And so I'm taking the cautious route is all I could say. So.
Yeah, same. Copy paste. I love it. So I have one more question for you because I know we went like way over time. This is supposed to be like 10, 15 minutes and I'm like twice. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. Yes. Your contact info. I'm like so caught up in the conversation. Thank you to our producers for keeping me decent here. So guys, if you're listening to this, guys, gals, if you're listening to this and you're like, you know what, I'm going to save that guy's number because if ever I'm in a wreck or if I've got cases, if you've got cases that you want to refer over, here's Tommy's contact info. Save it in your phone as the bartender. No, just kidding.
You can call me whatever you want. Call me whatever you want as long as you call me.
Don't call me late for your accident, right?
Yeah, do not call me after 2 years now. New limit.
Yes. We got to stay within the window. So yeah, so there you have the contact info. Save it, follow, do all the likes and stuff like that. And Tommy, one fun question that I like to ask every guest is, what is your favorite sandwich? And if you say po' boy, don't be predictable.
So I thought about this. Let me explain. Okay, so I'm from a really Asian part. I'm not from New Orleans. I'm actually lower from New Orleans. And the way I like to describe it is, it's more of an upscale version of what you see in the Water Boy. We don't actually live on the water, but it's very Cajun. It's on a bayou. We do commercial fishing, trawling, all that stuff. So I grew up with seafood. I grew up on a trawl boat. So a good shrimp po' boy, or if I'm being really, really adventurous, I like what's called the surf and turf. So they put the roast beef on the shrimp and you combine it into one po' boy. But since I knew you were probably going to say, don't give the default answer, I'm partial to, I went to Greece for my 40th birthday. And ever since I had my first gyro, that's just but it can't have any tomatoes on it. So a nice little lamb, just gyro based with tzatziki on it. It's either going to be that, or recently I've gotten into Italian sandwiches. I have no Italian blood in my body, but a good Italian sandwich from a nice Italian restaurant, it would be either that or a gyro. If you tell me I cannot pick a po' boy, but I'm going po' boy. Probably
What a jerk! I've never done that to a guest. I'm sorry. You're allowed to like whatever you like.
No, I get it because you're thinking, oh, I make you want, but I mean, it's po' boy 9 out of 10 times for me, unless I go. If I'm not in Louisiana, then yes, I'm gonna get a gyro or an Italian sandwich, or I've never had a true Philly cheesesteak, but I'm sure those are amazing. So.
Oh my God, yeah, they are. But I like Italians too, so those are really yummy. Cool. Well, this has been great, guys, gals. Save Tommy's number, get in touch, network, please refer each other cases. I'm a big proponent of that. His contact info is on the screen. I hope you enjoyed this very, very awesome conversation, because I know I enjoyed it. I basically do this podcast just to have fun conversations with people, selfishly. And if y'all enjoyed it too, that's great. We'll catch you on the next episode of Care Sandwich. Tommy, I'll see you backstage.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Care Sandwich. Remember, the way we care for our clients, our teams, and ourselves can make all the difference in our success. Until next time, keep caring, keep growing, and I'll see you on the next episode.